Let's give him a little. You ready? Nip it in the bud! Nip it in the bud! Young man calls himself Jex painted this mural. Over the course of 5 weeks, he used nothing but aerosol cans of spray paint to paint this mural. Wally's was an original service station, been here since 1937, and I guarantee you from good sources, Mr. Carl Griffith and Goober says, hey, Wally's available, but he don't work on Sundays. That's why he's not here. Wally don't work on Sundays. Here's the Darling's truck. Available for photo ops. Sheriff. Now, if you need to call Sarah, we got the phone right there. Sarah? Sarah. Favorite, because it's got a great suspension on it. Some people like the older ones. We have 6 of them in our fleet, and they go from the 1960 to 67. That would be the run for the show. Lamb's Drugstore, when Andy was a boy, he worked as a soda jerk behind that counter. We got the Earl Theater over here on the left. It is the second oldest bluegrass radio program. Now, Snappy's one of my favorites. They've been in business for 100 years. Now, this is where Andy grew up, 1935.
Hello everyone, this is John Ward with the Appalachian Channel, and we are in Mount Airy, North Carolina, the home of Andy Griffith. Many people call it Mayberry. Most of the things around here is called Mayberry something.
Absolutely.
And we're here at the Wally service station with Norm Schultz, and he's going to take us on a tour of the town. And this is one of the things that's been a couple years to get here, but we're here and we're excited. And Norm's going to take us across the street and show us the Wally service station and a few places over here. Then we're going to get in the squad car and take a tour. So come on, let's go, guys.
Well, come on over here to Wally's, because this is the home of the squad car tours here in Mount Airy. Wally's was an original service station, been here since 1937, and I guarantee you from good sources, Mr. Carl Griffith, Andy's dad, used to get his car serviced in one of these bays, or if not both of those bays at one time.
And this right now is used as a gift shop, open through the week except on Sundays?
Yeah, we have a gift shop, and you know, just like on the TV show, Wally don't work on Sundays.
So, would these pumps been original to the station, the original
No,
station?
the original pumps would have been those glass top ones with the hand crank on them. These probably came around, I'm going to say, about late 60s. That would have been the error on this. In fact, we still got the original price here, 23 cents and a half per gallon. Now, we've been pumping on these trying to get some out of there lately, but ain't nothing coming out of there.
So these are some of the other gentlemen that take people on the tours, I guess.
Yeah, they're taking breaks. We got some good folks over there. Our and T-shirts for sale as well. You're on TV now eating your pizza. You're looking good.
Little Caesars in Mount Airy. It's the best.
So what's this right here, Norm?
Well, we got a pressure purger. This is how you used to clean out and go through all the old antifreeze when you had to go through it. We got a nice clean. You know what Mr. Collins did to own this place. He tried to completely stock it up with original equipment on the outside. And now, if you come down here a little further, I want to warn you, it's the Darling's cabin. Now, if you're familiar with the Darlings, you know, you come down here and sometimes the boys are all keyed up. Remember that time that Charlene was here and Ernest T. Bass was giving her a hard time, and Sheriff Taylor said to him, Paul Briscoe, why didn't you and the boys take care of Ernest T. Bass? And my favorite line of Briscoe Darling of all time is, well, we thought about killing him, but we didn't want to go that far. This is a nice replica. You can come here, take some pictures, get some. And now around the back might be the still, but don't go back there, because I'll tell you, it's not something that wants to be. Oh, there it is. You done it. Now there's some good stuff in there, pert near 2 weeks old. So if you get thirsty a little bit later, we can take care of that thirst for you. Mayberry Union High. Now over here's the bus. When y'all need to come to school, we got the Mayberry Union High bus. Will bring you in here to class and get your reading and your writing on, and then we got Mayberry Union High here. We got all just about covered. Now, around the corner is the courthouse. Courthouse is open. As long as you see squad cars out here, you will see the courthouse. Goober says, hey. Wally's available, but he don't work on Sundays. That's why he's not here. Wally don't work on Sundays. Here's the Darling's truck. Available for photo ops. Now, you know, during Mayberry days, this is actually filled with people who play music and look like the Darlings. And it actually does still run. We got some more gift shops. We got our Canon. My Mayberry fans will remember the time that Andy and Barney sold that Canon off, and TR, they sold it off as Teddy Roosevelt's favorite camera up San Juan Hill, but that was stretching it just a bit.
Now what's all these here?
This is our block of fame. This is all the favorite actors, characters from the show. Thelma Lou, Ernest T. Bass. Hollywood Walk of Fame is nothing compared to this. Of course, we got Barney and Opie and Floyd. And I'll come on in here and make sure Otis isn't sleeping, because we don't want to wake Otis up. Otis! No, he ain't sleeping. He's gone. This is our courthouse. You can come on in here and check it out. This is Otis's cell. Don't worry, we still got the key up there. Now, if you want to be the justice of the peace, we got Andy's desk, and there's also a dual side to that. There's the sheriff. Now, if you need to call Sarah, we got the phone right there. Sarah? Sarah? She don't work on Sundays either.
Now, it seems like I maybe read something. There might be some original props from the show here.
Not in here,
Not
but
in
up
here.
at the Andy Griffith Museum.
At the
sure
museum.
enough.
Okay.
Absolutely. Everything you see here, for the most part, the desks and the phones and the radios and things, are up in the Andy Griffith Museum.
Right. Well, this is so yeah. I was asking about this building. This is originally
A Studebaker dealership. Mr. Collins, who purchased this property, and just sheer out of a love for the Andy Griffith Show, wanted to share this. Didn't want people to come to the town of Mount Airy and not have a Mayberry experience, and that's what he did.
Yes. Let's walk around the side. There's still some of the there's some
Absolutely.
Studebaker signs there. I don't know if those original to the building, but they're still on
The
there.
ones around here to the one side are original, and
Emmett's Fix-It Shop.
yep. And these would have been left from the Studebaker shop. From
These
the
signs,
Studebaker
these signs
dealership.
are original.
Absolutely.
So you have any idea how late it operated up to what year?
You know, I'm not sure about that. I'm going to say what Studebaker ran out of business in the late 60s.
Okay.
So I'm going to say they probably go back to then. They found them inside when they started renovating, and they put them back out on the wall.
About that.
Yep. And then we got some other ones on the other side.
Let's go up and look at that squad card and tell us a little bit about the history of the
Absolutely.
squad cars and
Happy to do so.
how they come up with those and find them, and how many of them that y'all have here. And
Well, this particular one is a 1965 Ford Galaxy 500. Mike Cochran. We wouldn't be doing squad car tours if it wasn't for him. He came up with this idea 20 years ago, and he's still our boss and our chief mechanic. He takes care of all the cars and maintains them. This one in particular is my favorite because it's got a great suspension on it. Some people like the older ones. We have 6 of them in our fleet, and they go from the 1960 to 67. That would be the run for the show. Ford was a sponsor of the Andy Griffith Show, and Ford would actually send brand new cars over to get propped up by Desilu Studios, and they would actually run these cars over, prop them up, turn them into police cars, and then after that they would use them for the entire season. At the end of the season, Ford would ask for the cars back from Desilu Productions. The cars would come back, and here's the really interesting part. No one knows what happened to those cars.
Really? They just disappeared?
Well, Ford was getting last year's models, and they were beat up and scratched up from the show using them, and camera marks and stuff like that, and Lord knows they probably smelled like Otis in the back seat. Couldn't wait to sell the cars. They didn't keep track of the VIN numbers. They had no idea what happened to them. They couldn't wait to get rid of them. So this may be one of the cars from the Andy Griffith show. Probably not, but no one can tell us it ain't.
Well, so what kind of places we're going to see on this tour?
Well, we're going to see, the first part of the tour is going to be the history of the town of Mount Airy. There's a lot to learn about this town. It was established for the first time in a map in 1740. The town itself, very historical, hard-working industrial town at one time. And then we're going to hit the midway part and talk all about Andy Griffith and what formed him and his opinions, and how he lived here as a young man before he became rich and famous and heading off to Hollywood. So you get a little bit of everything, and we'll give a couple more secrets that Andy gave us that nobody else knows about except people here in town.
All right.
Now when we get out on Riverside Drive, we'll hit the siren, because on Sundays we just try to keep it nice and quiet for people here in town.
Okay, got a siren.
Oh, we got the siren. Oh yeah, that's all part of the deal.
Well, Jody will ride up front so she can film
wherever you want to do it.
And I'll kind of use the back and slide backwards and forth.
Some of the guys like the older cars. Me, this thing is like driving on your sofa.
You ready, Jody?
Yeah.
All right. So you want me to do my tour, or you want me to give you some highlights? We can do both if you want.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll do, I'll just give you how I start the tour off, if that'll help you. We'll do that. All right. Well, how y'all doing? Where are you visiting from?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Well, welcome to Mount Airy, also known as Mayberry. This has also got other nicknames like the Granite City, and before that, the very first name of this area was the Hollow. That's what they called it. I'm gonna be your tour guide, Storm and Norman. We're gonna take you out in this 1965 Ford Galaxy 500. Now I'm gonna tell you ahead of time, this has no airbags, with the exception of me. I am your hot airbag. This vehicle is equipped with a 390 V8, and we will catch them chicken thieves and them moonshiners, and then we'll bring them back, and we'll put the evidence in the truck, and later tonight we'll have a little investigation and make sure that it's really what we just seized, because we'll have a cookout and a little bit of shine, and just go ahead and do that. Y'all ready to do that?
Sounds good.
Let's catch some chicken thieves. And now you have a very important job you have to do. You know, our back seat's full right now. We got a moonshiner back there, and we can't take any more passengers on. But when we get out there on the street and we see some people that are looking like a little bit sketchy, maybe they could be getting in trouble, and you can tell they'll give you the sideways look when that happens, your job as my deputy is to yell out the window at them. Repeat after me. Nip it in the bud.
Nip it in the bud.
You got it. Now, we have to swear you in. I solemnly attest and agree.
Solemnly test and agree.
To follow the spirit.
Follow the spirit.
And the joy.
And the joy.
Of the Andy Griffith Show.
Of the Andy Griffith Show.
Now you have a very important job. Welcome, deputy. It's good. We're good. You have permission to do something no one else other than me has to do here. You see that little white toggle?
Yes.
That is the authority of the law. At any point, I become incapacitated, it's your job to hit this button. Oh. Yeah, we'll take care of all those ne'er-do-wells. All right, let's go ahead and do this. We're going to do it. We're ready.
Ready.
Now, talk about a little history about the town. First part of my tour will be about the history of the town, and we're going to talk about South Main Street. Now, South Main Street is where all the wealthy people lived back in the 1880s. It would have been bankers and lawyers and doctors and all those kind of people. We've got some beautiful houses here, homes to visit, and most of them are still owned by private citizens. One of the oldest houses on South Main Street, the yellow house on the right, the Dr. Hollingsworth house, he was the chief physician for the Siamese twins, Ang and Chang. Yep, they moved here in the 1820s, had a 200-acre farm, married sisters, and had 21 children. Can you imagine that? 21 children. Now, how's that happen? People ask me all the time. It's simple, the way it always happens. All right, we're going to keep going. We got some beautiful churches here made out of Mount Airy granite. In fact, Main Street itself that we're traveling on, when you look at the topography, that's one of them fancy words I learned, it slopes left and right off of Main Street. Main Street was laid out on the highest crest or the ridge of the granite deposit in town. And if you are on Main Street, you're sitting on the highest piece of Mount Airy granite. The entire town itself is sitting on one giant piece of rock. Now, the very first time this town showed up in a map was in 1740. It was called the Hollow. Now, y'all know our friends here on the Appalachian channel, you know that the Hollow is the same word as the holler or the hollow. It should have another name in front of it, right? Dogpatch Hollow, Sleepy Hollow, but they just called it flat out the Hollow. Now, we have to forgive them because they were from, England over at the old country. And calling it the Hollow made no sense to the stagecoach drivers because they're the ones who gave this town its name, Mount Airy. They would travel Route 52 from Old Salem, North Carolina on an Indian path, which is now called the Andy Griffith Parkway, and they'd head up to Galax, Virginia. Coming out to the edge of town, they did not want to yell out, "Well, we're making the Hollow stop," because that would be the same as pulling out in front of Richmond and going, "Well, here we are at the city." Well, what city is it? I don't know, it's just called the city. Well, sure enough, they started referencing an old plantation on the edge of town, and that big old plantation was Mount Airy. 1885, it officially became the city's name, Mount Airy. Now, this was a busy old industrial town. We had furniture factories. We had a lot of cotton. We also had, Proctor Silex was here. Mount Airy back in the 50s and 60s was called the toaster capital of the United States. When you would come and you were visiting dignitary, you wouldn't get the key to the city, you'd get a toaster. And you didn't even have to open up a bank account. I mean, you couldn't beat that. Now, the chair factories. We had chair factories because we had wood. We had heart pine and all kinds of good furniture being made out of heart pine. But the most important furniture company in all of Mount Airy, to our Andy Griffith fans, would be the Mount Airy Chair Company. That's where Carl Griffith worked. That's Andy's dad, if you don't know. Andy ran a bandsaw and he cut out table legs. Carl ran a bandsaw. Andy did work there part-time. Yep. Now, my Mayberry fans will remember that Otis Campbell, who y'all know had a vocation. His vocation was, lapping it up as fast as he could. But he also had a regular job. It got mentioned in one of the episodes, and his regular job was a glue dipper at the chair factory. Guess who did that same job? Young Andy Griffith. Yep, he had a part-time job working as a glue dipper. Andy's dad eventually retired from the Mount Airy Chair Company as a shipping clerk. Finest shipping clerk in the history of Mount Airy Chair Company, if you ask one Mr. Andy Griffith. He would tell you that. We had a lot of cotton in the area, and the cotton in the area led to textile mills, and we had 3 big old textile mills downtown. There is still one left. Now, the mill isn't here, but their corporate headquarters is, and it's located over here on the left. That would be the Renfro Sock Company. They sure enough make socks for Walmart and Dr. Scholl's. They're not going out of business anytime soon. Now, the tobacco industry. We had a lot of tobacco. By 1980, it wasn't a good cash crop anymore, but as these farms came up for sale, nobody wanted to buy them because nobody wanted to try to plant corn in old tobacco soil. It was acidic from the nitrates from 150 years of planting and just tilling it. But a couple people got together and said, I think we can figure out something that's going to grow in that acidic soil. grapes. Grapes. Yep, we've got about 20 vineyards in Surrey County. Sure enough. And that just goes to show you folks that smoking and drinking will always go together. On our right hand side is another one of our industries. Now you can peeking through the trees over here. This is the North Carolina Granite Corporation. Now, granite was discovered here in the mid 1700s. And they've been removing granite up here at the granite quarry since 1880 as a full-time industry. The Mount Airy granite is a special type of granite found nowhere else. Mount Airy granite, 1 square cubic foot weighs 160 pounds. It is the second hardest substance on the face of the earth, right up there with diamonds and teenagers' heads. Yep. This granite is actually so heavy and so dense, they don't make countertops out of it. I'm sorry, ladies, they just don't. However, they do other things, like they make buildings with it. The depository in Fort Knox is made out of Mount Airy granite, sure enough. Arlington Bridge in Virginia is made out of it. If you've been to Kitty Hawk, the Wright Brothers Memorial, that's made out of it. But the number one thing they make and sell out of the Mount Airy Granite Company is on your right hand side. That would be curbs. Now these old curbs, because they're so hard and heavy, they ship them up north and they will last forever. You know, them concrete curbs up there with the salt and brine and all them nasty weather conditions, they last about 6 years. If you take a look across from us, I'll give you a nice big view right there. That tree line was the original surface of the quarry. They used to have it called a farm. They called it the rock farm, and they were joking about that. They said, you know, well, you go out there, the only thing you can grow out there is rocks. And sure enough, this granite, they've gone down about 250 feet since 1880. It's not going anywhere, though. It is estimated by the drilling that it's 8,000 feet deep. 8,000. I mean, just to give you a visual perspective, the Grand Canyon is only 6,000 feet deep. So they're going to have a little bit of granite for 500, 600, 700 years. Oh yeah, not going anywhere. Now they do other things here. I mean, they make crush and run, and they do things like that, and for making driveways, and they have pea gravel over here, and these boys are working 5 days a week, just churning it out. And all the way over on the other side, it kind of looks like a beach over there, but that is chicken grit. They sell that off to the chicken farmers to mix in with the chicken feed. Now, since y'all visiting from Tennessee, I feel like I should stop over here at the gift shop and pick y'all something up. We got a nice gift shop over here. Let me pull in here, check out, and see what's going on at the gift shop. Oh boy, oh, look at that. That's some good stuff right there. Oh yeah. Your very own piece of Mount Airy granite. Just like that insurance company used to say, now you got a piece of the rock. Oh yeah, and you can feel how heavy just that little piece of rock is right there. And I don't want you to forget your trip here. I hope you come and visit and think about visiting with Storm and Norman and the squad car tours, and you're going to put it on your bookshelf and have a good time. And then right after that, I know y'all going to take it for granted, but that's not going to hurt my feelings at all. I stay up at night making them jokes. Some people think I should sleep instead. All right, let's talk about Andy Griffith. Carl and Geneva Griffith. Now, that's Andy's parents, and Carl. Now, the Griffiths, they're not exactly sure where they came from, according to Andy. He talked to his Meemaw and asked her where the Griffiths came from, where our king came from, and she said, well, somewhere out here in these mountains somewhere. And that's as close as he could get an explanation. Geneva, a little bit closer. Geneva was actually born about 40 minutes north of the town of Mount Airy, in a little town right off the Blue Ridge Parkway today called Mayberry, Virginia. Now, y'all may have heard about that Mayberry trading post out there. That is the only building left from the town of Mayberry, Virginia. Now, that town, the last map we could find with Mayberry on it in Virginia is 1915, but sure enough, it was a busy little hamlet at one time. Andy's mom there. And when Andy was a boy, this was such a busy old town, he'd get a chance to go up every once in a while and visit with his pawpaw and go hunting and fishing up there. That was his happiest place, and that's how Mayberry came to Mount Airy, part 1. There will be a part 2 to it. Carl worked hard, got himself a job at the Mount Airy Chair Company, and that afforded them the opportunity to move into a company house. Beautiful little place on Haymore Street. 3 rooms. Andy was an only child, and he slept in the kitchen until he was a little bit later. He was born in 1926. 1935 they moved into the house, and you figure about 2 years later they put a porch on the back for Andy to sleep in. And some people say, oh, that's nice. Well, no, that wasn't nice. Think about this. If you had a teenager sleeping in the kitchen all night, you wake up with no food in the morning. So I think that's why they put him out there. That could just be me. But Andy's dad worked hard, and he retired from the chair factory as a shipping clerk. Andy's parents were awful proud of him. Now, Andy is a young man, being an only child in town. He had a rough way to go. It was a little bit tough living on a dirt road on the poor side of town. Andy had a terrible accident when he was a boy. He actually fell on a swing set and broke his back. That really affected him the rest of his life. He had all types of arthritis and problems, and later on, when he was doing Matlock, he ended up with some neuropathy in his feet, and he had some other disease and things that they think was connected to that back injury. Now that kept him from doing a lot of stuff that young boys would do, sports and things like that, but sure enough, we made some lemonade out of them lemons, because Andy started studying music, and he started getting involved with theater and performing, and that really was an important thing for all of us today, I got to say. Andy had learned some guitar from his mother. Geneva taught him some, and he went to a movie when he was 14 years old. And I got this story right from Andy. From one of the interviews with him. I didn't actually get to meet Andy, but we got it from Andy. Andy said, I saw this man named Jack Teagarden playing a slide trombone about this jazz movie, and that's it. That's what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I was going to get myself a slide trombone and be rich and famous. The only thing keeping me from making all those wonderful things happen was getting a slide trombone. There were no slide trombones in the town of Mount Airy in 1940, so where's he going to get one? Spiegel catalog. Now, for those of you that are too young to remember Spiegel catalog, it is kind of like Amazon without a computer. Well, sure enough, it was $38. Andy worked for 6 months to get that trombone, and then the happiest day in his life came. That trombone showed up, and that just happened to coincide with the happiest and saddest day of Mom and Dad's life. Yeah, that trombone showing up. That sure wasn't a good thing. A 14-year-old trying to teach himself to slide trombone in a 3-room house. Now, there were options. That trombone could have got gone one day, but that would have broke Andy's heart. So he would practice early in the morning, and then Carl found out through some friends that Pastor Mickey at the Grace Moravian Church gave music lessons. Now, picture this young boy on his bicycle riding 2 miles with a trombone slung over his shoulder twice a week to go get music lessons from the Grace Moravian Church. And this happens to be that church. See how we timed that out? So, Pastor Mickey, he recognizes that young Andy has talent and a real aptitude for learning music. He teaches him every single instrument in that church. In fact, they still have a tuba in there that Andy played when he was a boy. Andy, he loved going there for his lessons, and sure enough, he and Pastor Mickey struck up a great friendship. Pastor Mickey changed not just Andy's life, but all of our lives, because he convinced Andy to go to Chapel Hill and study music, and that's where Andy graduated from with his music degree, and it's the same school that Pastor Mickey went to. Andy said if it hadn't been for Pastor Mickey and all of his wonderful guidance and support, he would have ended up working on the mills with the rest of the family. So he was happy to get out of Mount Airy. Andy's down there in Chapel Hill, and he's working hard. He's started doing some comedy, working in these nightclubs, and he invents this character named Deacon Andy, and that's the vehicle that Deacon Andy is, the guy that, that country rude, that good old boy that everybody laughs at and has a good time with. And sure enough, Andy would do little routines in the nightclubs using that character, like Romeo and Juliet. Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Well, I'm right here. Well, sure enough, people loved that whole routine. Now, Andy is on a long ride in his car going to another routine, and at that time he thinks up this idea, and the idea turns into something that changed once again all our lives. It's a little routine about a young man who has never seen a football game, called What It Was Football. Now, have y'all heard that routine? If I do my bad version of it real quick, will you all promise to Google Andy doing it? All right, so it goes like this. Well, we were at a tent revival, and I was awful thirsty, and I decided to get myself a big orange. Well, the next thing I know, I get a pushed and a prodded down this corridor with these people going down the hallway and not knowing whither all we were heading. We come through this great big doorway, and oh Lord, you would not believe what we see. The most beautiful cow pasture you done ever see, except in somebody done painted lines and numbers all over it. Now, before you know it, out of this one outhouse, this big old fellas come out, and they commence to shaking hands like they ain't seen each other in there, whatever all. And then they start a squabbling and a fighting over this funny looking pumpkin. They's a kicking it and a throwing it, and it's the most awful fight you ever did see. And of all people, in the middle of it, a convict shows up blowing whistles, and he breaks it all up. What it was football. Now, that's my bad version of it. You got to listen to Andy's good version. This is our Baptist church, First Baptist Church, built in 1907. We got a really nice museum over here with some nice antiques, Queen Anne style stuff. This is the Gertrude Smith house. Beautiful, restored. We're coming on up here to North Main Street. Now, this is where the rich people, they done packed their bags up and moved up the street 20 years after the 1880 version of South Main Street. And sure enough, you see some beautiful houses up here. And we got, all types of characters that lived in these places. Wonderful stuff to see. Andy takes that routine and has it made into a record. He comes here to Mr. Ralph Epperson, who ran our first radio station. He said, Mr. Ralph, if you like this record, put it on the air, and if you don't, throw it in the trash. Well, sure enough, people liked it. It sold 1 million copies, and it got the attention of Ed Sullivan. He invited Andy to do that Deacon Andy thing on Ed Sullivan show, and Andy's entire life at that point was set. He was never going to be anything other than a performer. He did Broadway and got to work with Don Knotts, No Time for Sergeants, and I have to interrupt the Andy story here. This is the oldest house on in the oldest church on Main Street right here in all of Mount Airy, built in 1896. It's made out of solid Mount Airy granite as well. Now we're on Main Street proper. Now, this has changed very little since Andy was a young man. And we have 4 different movie houses here in the town of Mount Airy at one time, and an opera hall. This building over here was an old opera hall. Great little restaurants, little boutiques. Now, the thing that's so wonderful about this is that just about every business here, the person that's waiting on you is the person who owns the store. You won't get any better service. Now, I'm excited to show you what I call Mount Airy's Rushmore. Only all of these presidents get along. All right, maybe they're not presidents. Maybe it's every picture of Andy Griffith through the years. I can't say enough about this beautiful work of art we're about to see. He's just drawing you in. Now, this mural was painted just about 2 years ago. Young man, he calls himself Jex, painted this mural. over the course of 5 weeks, he used nothing but aerosol cans of spray paint to paint this mural. Shows Andy from his earliest days working as a teacher down in Chapel Hill. And there's that movie, the first big movie he did, Facing the Crowd. That's why he's a mean old looking boy in that picture. And then there's Sheriff Taylor and then Matlock on the end, of course. But I always wondered about number 4. And I talked to Jex, the artist. He was just here doing another mural for us. I said, what is number 4 about? He's wearing a flannel shirt and he's just got a big toothy old grin, looking happy as could be. Well, he said, I like to think that was the time when Andy was doing something he loved almost as much as acting, maybe even more: gospel music. Andy loved to sing and play gospel music. And he won a Grammy later on in life. A lot of people don't even know that. Now we're coming up the hill and moving around. You see some more of these beautiful buildings made out of solid Mount Airy granite. Directly on our right, this is our Chamber of Commerce, and it's our visitor center. You can go in there, and the girls in there will be more than happy to take care of you and give you a map and show you around the town of Mount Airy. We got you. I can. It's a red light. Oh, now it's green. Now look, there's only one sheriff in town. I don't need any help out here on the sidewalk. We got all right, we got you. All right, sure enough. It's tough down here. When Barney was here, we didn't have these problems. But now Barney's gone, so what are we going to do? Well, welcome back to Main Street. Now, that young man, Jex, that painted that mural, we have a couple beautiful murals here, and he's done one. It's over on a side street. It's nice. Melva Houston is the lady's mural. That was the first one he painted in town. And he came back about, I'm going to say about, well, 4th of July was the ribbon cutting for our Donna Fargo mural. Now, have y'all seen the Donna Fargo mural yet? It's amazing. Now, Donna was born and raised right outside of town, and she came back 4th of July, and we decided we were going to paint a mural and get Mr. Jex to paint that for us. And this is that mural he painted.
Nice.
Now, here's the amazing thing. Once again, nothing but cans of aerosol spray paint he painted that mural in.
Wow.
But he painted it over the course of 5 days.
How about that?
5 days. Well, there you go. There's Opie. Now, we have Walker Soda Fountain. It was called Lamb's Drugstore when Andy was a boy. He worked as a soda jerk behind that counter.
How about that?
We got the Earl Theater over here on the left. It is the second oldest bluegrass radio program in the country on Saturday mornings. They do WPAQ, and that is where the merry-go-round is recorded and broadcast. The only other radio station that's older, that'd be the Grand Ole Opry. That ain't bad neighborhood to be in right there. And it's still a real movie house. We got other places to visit here, like Floyd City Barbershop. They said that the man Russell Hyatt cut hair there till he was 90 years old, and he claims to have cut Andy's hair in there, and it's still a barbershop. You can go in there and get your hair cut. Now watch that one guy Jeff that's in there. He's clipper happy. He'll just wear out your sideburns. You won't have any. And right next to that, Snappy Lunch. Now, Snappy's one of my favorites. They've been in business for 100 years. Still run by the same family for the most part. And it's a place that Andy would eat his hot dogs. He loved the hot dogs at Snappy. In fact, he loved them so much that he mentioned Snappy Lunch in 2 different episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. Now, we don't want to forget the Easter Brothers. I mean, these men were giants in the industry of gospel music right there. And that particular mural right there was hand painted by none other than Tim White from Song of the Mountain. Yep. And this was the Easter Brothers store over here. It's still a store. James's relatives in there, and you can go in there and pull yourself a mandolin off the wall and sit down and have an impromptu jam session. That happens every day inside there, except on Sunday. Now, we got our our post office on the left. This gives you some indication. It is solid Mount Airy granite, by the way, but it gives you some indication of how busy an industrial town. Now, we don't want to miss our war memorial that we got over here, paying respect to our fallen heroes as well. We got the Mount Airy Police Department on the right. 44 police officers take care of the city of Mount Airy. I still cannot believe that Barney and Andy did it with just the two of them. Now we're coming up on the Andy Griffith Museum, and I can't recommend the place higher if you're an Andy fan. They got props, they got scripts, they got all kind of things from Andy Griffith in there. And then we have our Andy and Opie walking to the fishing hole, and we'll give them a little blast. All right, I think they may be a little shady looking. Let's give them a little. You ready? Nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. All right. Now, the Andy Griffith Playhouse right next door. That was the auditorium to the junior high school that Andy attended. It was a grade school and a junior high school, and this big giant parking lot is where the school was located. It was the Rockford School. It was 4 stories high, and Andy did his very first performance in that auditorium at the age of 8. It was impromptu though. His buddies dared him to get up on the stage, and they were going to get up there with him during one of the school assemblies and sing a little song together. And sure enough, Andy got out on the front of the curtain and they had disappeared. Well, he went with it anyway, and he sang a song called The Old Gray Mare, She Ain't What She Used to Be, his very first performance. Haymore Memorial Baptist Church, this is where the Griffiths attended. Yep, sure enough, Andy, Carl, and Geneva, they walk up the hill and, morning preacher, morning. How you doing? Now we're going to be coming up to Andy's house here in a moment. Now Andy, he's famous now and he's doing good, and they have Andy Griffith Day here back in 1957. Mom and Dad are riding around in a convertible, and he's telling them, why don't y'all move out of that 3-room house you're living in? And they said, it's our home, son. We love it. And he said, but I got more money now than I ever thought I'd ever have. And Geneva said, son, I'm not sure that whole acting thing is going to stick. You know, you better hold on to your money. And so Andy convinced her to let him spend a little bit of money on her. What did he convince her to let him do? Well, she always wanted one of them fancy picture windows that you see on the cover of Life magazine back in the 50s and 60s. And that's what Mama wanted, and that's what Mama got. And I'm showing you that picture window. It's coming up on your right-hand side. Now, this is where Andy grew up. 1935. Then he went on off to Hollywood and got himself famous. But the Griffiths lived here until 1966. That's when he convinced them to go ahead and move out to Hollywood with him so he could take care of them. But sure enough, this is not what the house looked like when Andy was a boy. The original size of the house was from the mailbox to the American flag. That's all it was a little 3-room house. And then when Andy hit that big time, that's that picture window we were just talking about. They literally had to double the size of the house to put that picture window in there, but that's what Mama wanted, and that's what Mama got. Sure enough. Now you can stay here. It's owned by the Hampton Inn, and you can get yourself between $200 and $300 a night.
Is this the actual car? Is this the sheriff car?
Well, it's the one that's left.
It's the one that's left. Oh,
That's it.
well, can we take a picture?
Sure. Now look, don't talk to the moonshiner in the back seat.
Oh,
Because he'll give you some directions to the still, and I done busted it up. Pow, 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 pow.
Oh my goodness. This is too much. I might say we gotta do a selfie.
Oh, you got to do a selfie.
We gotta do a
Come on, let's do a selfie.
Let them know they'll.
Now, we're doing a little YouTube channel thing here now.
Oh God, please don't have us so
Oh, it's too late now. Y'all done been in it. You aren't in the in one of those protection plans. You know, I'm in the witless protection plan. That's what I'm in.
All right, Tracy, you got to get over here and film us somehow or another.
You want me to take the picture?
Yeah.
Come on now. I done put the car in park. I'm being safe now. Let's get your picture
Barney,
made.
make sure the car's in park.
All right now. Move it. Move it. Move it.
Oh my God.
All right now. I
Right
got you. Let's have your phone.
Okay.
We'll turn it around.
I got it
Oh,
on
you
video.
got it on video. All right.
It's too
All right
much.
now. Sir, you guys come over on my left because I'm a right-handed selfie picture maker.
Do you want him in the picture? You don't want him
All
in
right.
the picture.
Oh, come on. We'll get in here.
This is too much fun.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
All right.
Welcome to Mayberry.
Thank you.
Now, y'all been down to Wally's yet?
We haven't. That's what we.
All right, I'm gonna tell you how to get there. Go down here to the stop sign, I mean traffic light, hang a left, go up on top of the hill to Main Street. You'll see Main Street, hang another left. We'll meet you there.
Oh, okay.
I'll lock y'all up in there.
All right.
Yeah,
Hey, what model is this? A 65?
it's a 65. Yes, sir. You got a good eye.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, we're going over there.
All right. And that's every day.
I love it.
All day long, I got the toughest job in the entire world.
I'm telling you.
Not. All right. So sure enough, there they go. Happy as could be.
Happy.
This particular hotel room, it pretty much looks like the Griffiths left it in 1966. You can sleep in the kitchen if you want, just like Andy. Sure. Yeah. Then you could put up one of them ironing boards and do some adventure sleeping. Yeah, that's what Opie wanted to do. Now this little town of Mount Airy is a wonderful place. We've got a population of 10,400 people, and it really is Mayberry. I mean, everybody knows each other and everybody's kind to each other for the most part. You know, we got your, some of those people that like, remember that guy that owned the furniture store? Yeah, Mr. Weaver. He was kind of grumpy. But other than that, we're all good here. Now, the actual Andy Griffith house, it's available. It stays pretty booked. But the third week of September happens to be Mayberry Days. Now, I don't know how to explain Mayberry Days to you. Somebody told me the other day, it's like one of them Renaissance fairs, where everybody dresses up like knights and ladies in waiting and all that stuff in costume. But this is an Andy Griffith Renaissance fair. I mean, we have a population that goes from 10,400 to 75,000 people. And I will tell you this, I live smack dab in the middle of town, and we love every single person that comes during the Mayberry Days. I mean, they're as nice as could be, happy to be here. You can't go in a restaurant without saying one of the lines from the show and having somebody finish it for you. And then we have this group of people, they call themselves tribute artists, and they all dress up as characters from the show, and you're going to see Otis the Drunk and Ernest T. Bass, and then there's people that you don't even see on the show that show up for that festival. Like, we have this one guy there was this guy that sang all the time, Leonard Blush. You only heard him on the radio, and there's a guy that dresses up like Leonard Blush. And then, remember Barney's secret girlfriend at the diner? Nita, Juanita. Well, sure enough, if you never saw Juanita on the show and you were interested to see what she looks like, come here the third week of September. There's about 25 of them. It's the best outfit to get because all you need is a waitress outfit with a name tag on it saying Juanita. We got Juanitas of every size, color, hair, whatever you want, we got Juanita here. Now, the second part of how Mayberry came to the town of Mount Airy. Andy Griffith is a little bit put back about doing a TV show. Believe it or not, back in the late 50s, early 60s, movie stars did not do TV, and Andy was not interested in doing a show based on a sheriff in the country setting. Andy told him, no, I'm not interested. Danny Thomas stepped in and started talking to Andy and said, look, let's have this conversation. You will do one episode of that sheriff show on my show, Make Room for Daddy, and you lock me up. Now, y'all know, if you're Mayberry fans, that's the pilot episode, how it ended up being. But here's the story that Andy shared with Betty Lynn. Now, Betty Lynn played Thelma Lou. She lived here for many, many years, and she told me this particular story face to face. When she first moved here, someone took her up to the Mayberry Trading Post. And she put 2 and 2 together. Now, she had one luxury that most of us don't and didn't. Andy Griffith's home phone number. She called Andy and said, this Mayberry Trading Post thing, what's the deal with that? And is that where the show's name came from? And Andy said, well, let me tell you the story. And it went like this. He was in a production meeting with the writers and the staff of the Danny Thomas show. And Andy is sitting there with them, and they said, look, we've got everything already written and it's all ready to go, with the exception of one thing: the name of the town. Now they started asking Andy, you know, since you are here from North Carolina, maybe you can give us a town name or something. And Andy said, well, Raleigh or Durham, and the writers were like, no, that doesn't work for us. And then out of frustration, he said, Andy, where are you from? And he said, little town called Mount Airy. And they said, that's it, that's perfect. We'll call the show, the place Mount Airy. It'll be great. And Andy said, are you crazy? My kin still live there. Last thing I want is to move to Hollywood and make fun of the sheriff and make fun of the town folks and all the people in that town while my family is still living there. No, no, double no, forget about it. And then Andy thought about it and he said, I got it, Mayberry. Now, the good thing about Mayberry, as everyone knows, Andy loved putting these things called Easter eggs in the show, where he talked about his friend's name and talked about different people, and his names the Snappy Lunch and things like that. He knew that Mayberry is where his grandparents were from, where Mom was born, and his happiest place in the whole world. And so he said, we'll call it Mayberry. And that's why he was winking at home saying, you know, I'm thinking about y'all. And the most important part about that was nobody lived in Mayberry anymore. So nobody could get mad about making fun of the sheriff and the drunk that locked himself up. And that is how Mayberry Part 2 came to the town of Mount Airy. Well, that's my tour. That's my story. Did y'all have a good time?
Oh, yes, we did.
I'm so glad.
Much.
Now the most important part, y'all gonna get out of the car and get your picture made with Wally's in the background, and make sure you don't take your stone for granted, because that would be a bad thing right there. Yeah, we can't have that. All right, so thank you so much for riding with us. God bless you, and just keep on keeping on and nip it in the bud.
Yep, nip it in the bud.
All right, thanks for riding with us.
Much.
My pleasure.
Well, Norm, that was absolutely fantastic. It about made me cry. You telling the story, and
I could see you tearing up a little bit.
You just moved here a couple years ago, and
I did.
Fell in love with the town, I guess.
I've been coming for about a dozen years, and couldn't wait to move here. I mean, there's nothing like this place, and I think I have a particular different slant on it because I'm looking at it with fresh eyes.
Yes.
You know, people that had the accident of birth and were gifted and blessed to live here, I don't think they always understand how people coming from outside feel about it. And a lot of them do, but at the same time, I like to share and have them have the same experience I had when I came here that made me fall in love with this town.
Well, we are going to be coming back to Mount Airy, and we talked on the phone the other night for about 45 minutes, I believe.
We're going to do some porch sitting at my house too.
Yeah, we're going to come back and go into some of the stores and some of the things, and there's some other outline, Mount Pilot.
Mount Pilot, you can't beat it.
We're going to go over there. There's a place, and there's some other general stores right here in the area, and you're going to come back and kind of show us around, ain't you?
Anytime.
Okay.
You call me, you got my number, and we'll do some local places. There's some great restaurants here, been here since the 1930s. Even back to the 20s, and I see you and I both like to eat.
Yeah.
So we'll have some good food and some good desserts and stuff, and I'll show you the town.
And if they want to come on a tour, I think I read you can get what, bring 4 people?
5.
5 people?
You can get 5 people. If you bring your mother-in-law, you can put her in the trunk, as long as she's quiet. Because if we put the mother-in-law in the trunk and they ain't quiet, people will be stopping us on the street going, there's a thumping noise coming from the back of your car. So 5. You know what? Let's just go with 5.
And it's for one price for...
it's $50 for the car, whether you get one person or 5 people, and it's $50 for the car.
and it's well worth it. Absolutely, I have to recommend it. There's so many things to see here. We drove through here back in February of this year. This is our 3rd trip to North Carolina this year, and we'll be back a couple times in October. We're gonna come specifically just here and spend some days here. And so if they want to find you off, there's a website. It's called
it's www.tourmayberry.com,
and they can go to the website,
and they can call us 336-789-OPIE, or that's 6743. 336-789-6743.
so you can ask for Norm, and if he's working, you just kind of do it part-time. I don't think you're here every day.
Yeah, I only work, I'm retired, and so I come here a couple days a week. I get to be the fill-in guide, and that's about enough. I got, house and lawn to cut and chickens to feed and things like that.
Now, do you really have chickens?
I do have chickens. I
was talking about that earlier, and I thought he might have been pulling my leg. You said you live right here in town.
I live right in town. I got a little coop in the back, and sure enough, I got chickens.
Do you eat the eggs?
I do eat the eggs. They're delicious. Yeah. I mean, nothing. I have a different name for them. I call them butt nuggets.
Butt nuggets.
It just makes me happy. Butt nuggets. So we go out and talk to the chickens, and I say, y'all need to get the butt nugget production up a little bit here, or y'all can become something else. Nuggets. Just nuggets.
And some of you might recognize Norm. He's been on the TV series with Tom Selleck called Blue Bloods.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 9 seasons. I got to work with Tom, played a police officer on there, and I'm kind of like the Nurse Kelly of MASH. You saw her in every episode, but you didn't always get to talk. Well, that's what I did on Blue Bloods. I got to talk occasionally. They had to pay me more to do that, so they didn't do a whole lot of that. But you'll see me running around, handing coffees and stopping people. But I'm the only policeman with silver hair and uniform, so that's how you can find me.
Well, this has just been absolutely amazing trip, and we'll be looking forward to coming back.
My pleasure. You come back, like I said, we'll have you out here. Now we'll get you some Sonkers, which is a dessert. It's a local Mount Airy thing. We'll get you a ground steak sandwich. You ain't had anything till you had a ground steak sandwich here all the way. That's the way to go. So we got some Mayberry stuff for you, Surrey County stuff you're just gonna love.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you on the next episode, guys. Bye-bye.
Nice seeing y'all. Thank you. My pleasure. Come on back.